I know. No, it's struggling. That would be good. Yeah. I'm like, why are we not getting you?
So the videotape, we don't have any microphones because we're using the sound system on that desk rather than from the back. So you don't have any of this sounding out there. I have to, by Alberta law, record who is here. I don't record any other information, and that's for tracing. So if one of us gets tested in the next 4 days positive, then we go, oh, you know what? They've been in contact with so and so, so and so, so and so, so. So just to let you know, that's going to happen every single time we meet. That I just record that you checked in, just like we do with kids check-in. It's hilarious. We just check them in, going, yep, you were here. We keep that information. It is not given to the government. We keep it, and then howdy, Dean. And then if there is an emergency, then we get to contact people. They don't need to contact on our behalf because we will do that. It's great to have you here. I'm continuing on in Conversations of Hope. So Aaron, is the video going yet? It's already going? Well, hi, everybody in video land. Welcome to our Conversations of Hope evening style, our evening of hope. And this series, not a series, but well, the videos that we've started way back in March just to encourage each other and strengthen each other through this time. And it's been enjoyable. I hate this little black thing in front of me. It's nice to see actual people. We're just going to look quickly at a story in Mark 5. Mark 5, it's actually what is considered it's a twofer. It's a two stories in one kind of section. And I'm only going to focus on one of the stories. The other story, it's magnificent, it's exciting, it's challenging, but it just kind of fits in the middle of it, of the true story that I want to talk about. Matthew 5:21 all the way down to 43. So if you don't know what this story is about, it's the raising of the dead girl or the sick girl or Jairus' daughter, and also the healing of the sick woman. So verse 21, when Jesus had again crossed over by boat to the other side of the lake, a large crowd gathered around him while he was by the lake. Then one of the synagogue leaders named Jairus came, and when he saw Jesus, he fell at his feet. He pleaded earnestly with him, "My little daughter is dying. Please come and put your hands on her so that she will be healed and live." So Jesus went with him. A large crowd followed and pressed around him. And a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all she had. Yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak because she thought, if I just touch his clothes, I will be healed. Immediately, her bleeding stopped and she felt in her body that she was freed from her suffering. At once, Jesus realized that power had gone out from him. He turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" "You see the people crowding around against you," his disciples answered, "and yet you ask, 'Who touched me?'" But Jesus kept looking around to see who had done it. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet, and trembling with fear, told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." Now we pick up the Jairus story again. While Jesus was still speaking, some people came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader. "Your daughter is dead," they said. "Why bother the teacher anymore?" Overhearing what they said, Jesus told him, "Don't be afraid, just believe." He did not let anyone follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the home of the synagogue leader, Jesus saw a commotion, with people crying and wailing loudly. He went in and said to them, "Why all this commotion and wailing? The child is not dead, but asleep." But they laughed at him. After he put them all out, he took the child's father and mother and the disciples who were with him and went in where the child was. He took her by the hand and said to her, "Talitha cum," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, get up." Immediately the girl stood up and began to walk around. She was 12 years old. At this, they were completely astonished. He gave strict orders not to let anyone know about this and told them to give her something to eat. So when you look at this story, Jesus gets asked by a religious leader named Jairus to come look at his daughter who is dying. Notice Jairus comes to whom? Comes to Jesus. In desperation, yes, but also in a tremendous amount of faith. Faith in the hearing that Jesus could heal someone, heal his daughter. He had heard the stories. So in faith and in desperation, Jairus goes to him. Then we get the second story in there of the woman, which is great. But let's carry on in the story of Jairus. Once they arrive at the house, the first order of business was to tell the crowds the truth about the situation. Crowds were thinking, "Oh, child is dead. The child is dead. The child is dead." They're wailing and carrying on. He points to the truth of the matter. The little girl is not dead, but asleep. And this is a way of getting rid of the naysayers, getting rid of those that were being negative about this whole situation. In every situation that we face in life, Jesus will point out truth. In every situation. Not what everyone else is saying, but the truth of the situation. Whether it's for your help or whether it's for your good or whether it's, you name it, he will point out the truth. And in verse 40, we read that he, Jesus, put them out, put them all out. All these naysayers, all the negative things that are happening, he's shoving them out. And he takes with him the girl's parents and 3 of the disciples. He will put out those that want to weep, those that want to wail, those that want to get distracted at the non-truth of the issue. So these come back in these 5 or 7 or whoever, how many there were, the parents and the other disciples and Jesus, they come into the house. And of course, Jesus tells the truth and also heals. What's interesting is these ones that came with him still had the mark of desperation and faith. You see, in trusting Jesus for everything, it really is done in the presence of both of those things, a desperation as well as faith. Desperation, by the way, is really just giving over control. I cannot control this situation, so I'm desperate, so I'm going to give over that control. It is an understanding that we cannot control the issue, the situation, and we can therefore give it over. The faith part, of course, is the trusting in Jesus who will do what he said he was going to do. It's fascinating. Then and only then can the need for God and a trust in him take center stage. The wailing, the doubting, all they do is just distract because they acknowledge neither God's power nor his sovereignty nor his love. So once the wailers are gone, Jesus can do his work in their life and also in our life. His miracle is astonishing and simple. We read what Jesus says, and it's kind of like a father waking his child up at breakfast, for breakfast. Just gently speaking, it's an Aramaic equivalent of, it's time to get up, little one. They actually, in my version, they've got it sounds a little harsher, but it's not. The actual Greek or the Aramaic saying, Talitha Kaum, means this gentle, dear, it's time to get up, little one. Like it's time to get moving and go for breakfast. As one author has said, where the wailers proclaim death, Jesus speaks life. Where they grieve loudly, he quietly takes her hand and tells her it's time to wake up. Where they laugh with contempt, he celebrates with joy. They were ready for a funeral. He tells them to feed her breakfast. Let's be brutally honest. There are lots of things, lots of challenges that we face. Right now in this pandemic we're in stage 2, but what does it feel like? What's going on? They're accompanied by a whole host of distractions. Well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe it's the other. We go through life with trials, with problems, with issues, and we hear the negative reports of those who think every situation is hopeless. It's dire. So, when you encounter seemingly impossible situations, we frequently are told, just give up, give in, or try harder, or try something exciting or different ways to solve the problem. We know with Jesus that no situation is hopeless. Even apparent disasters are entirely redeemable by a sovereign God who responds to desperation, lack of control, and faith. Rather than listening to the distractions, the challenge is to let Jesus walk into our situation and speak a soothing, simple word. Let him enter into the distresses of our lives and gently take our hand and say, little one, just walk with me, get up. It's time to get up. Desperation and faith are needed in this story. Trust in Jesus fully. Go with him wherever he goes. Listen to his voice, his gentle voice. Let him come in, take your hand, and whisper the encouraging, life-giving words only a loving parent can whisper. It's time to get up, little one. Let the wailers wallow in disaster if they must. We need to tune them out and listen to the gentle voice of our God. Talitha Koum. It's time to get up, little one. And with that, we'll sign off on our video. Good night. Oh, actually, you know what we should do? Did you sign off already? Oh, we should just show everybody what this place is like. So I'm going to put on my mask again because I need to do that. I think I can do it with my microphone, maybe. I'll just speak this way. So I'll just take this off. We can see everybody in the building. Yeah. So here is our experience or our evening of hope. Thank you everyone for joining with us online and here in the building. Be blessed. And there we go.